All right, we are to the end of week 0, so it's time to recap week 0 and then preview week 1. We've got our top stories here. They're still from the past before the games took place. So let's just go to college football here, take a look at the scores from week 0. In the game in Dublin, we had TCU defeating North Carolina 28-21. Big win there for the Horned Frogs. Florida International was able to get a conference win over Kennesaw State at home, 34-13. Florida State kind of had a ho-hum home opener in 2026, defeating New Mexico State 24-6. Memphis went on the road and got a big win over Mountain West contender UNLV. Big win for the Tigers. The Stanford Cardinal defeated Hawaii 27-20 at home, avenging a loss last year in Honolulu. The 15th-ranked USC Trojans looked the part in their 2026 season opener, defeating San Jose State 55-7 in Los Angeles. Virginia got a big conference home win against NC State, thumping the Wolfpack 37-7. Eastern Michigan got a conference win against Sacramento State, playing their first FBS game. Eastern Michigan gets the win 21-13. Nice conference win to kick off the year. Liberty got a Conference USA win at home, 20-14 over Missouri State. Nice win for the Flames. North Dakota State, in their very first game as an FBS school, gets a win against Jacksonville State, 17-14 in the Fargo Dome in Fargo. And our last game of week 0, the Delaware Blue Hens went on the road and defeated preseason favorite Western Kentucky in a conference game 20-3. Pretty dominant showing by the Blue Hens, especially in a road game. So maybe Delaware is now the favorite for the Conference USA. We'll see what happens there. But nice win for Delaware. Those are all the games we had. The top 25, of course, we don't really need to look at that. That's not going to change even after this week. We'll have to wait till after week 1. Conference standings, I guess we can take a look at Conference USA because there were quite a few games in Conference USA. So looking at the conference standings here, Delaware 1-0, Florida International 1-0, Liberty 1-0, and Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State. Oh, that's overall. Sorry. We're looking here at conference. Delaware, Florida International, and Liberty all 1-0. Kennesaw State, Missouri State, and Western Kentucky all 0-1 in conference. So some nice wins in Conference USA. There are a couple other conference games, of course. Virginia beating NC State. Heisman Watch is not going to have changed. Everything else, we'll take a quick look at the stats. The national leaders, of course, only a handful of teams have played so far. But we'll take a look at the national leaders for the teams that did play. We'll just look at the top 5 for some of the major statistical categories. In passing yards, Jaden Maeva, the senior quarterback from USC, leads the nation with 397 passing yards. Jaden Craig, the senior from TCU, is second with 289. Air Nolan, the sophomore from Memphis, is third with 288. Billy Edwards Jr., the senior from North Carolina, is fourth with 281 yards, and Micah Alahado, the sophomore from Hawaii, is fifth with 273 passing yards. Passing touchdowns, Jaden Maeva is first in the country with 3 passing touchdowns, and then we've got a 4-way tie with 2 touchdowns each for Air Noland, Billy Edwards Jr., Nathan Hayes, the senior from North Dakota State, and Jackson Arnold, the senior from UNLV. Taking a look at rushing leaders, we've got Joey Matord, from a senior from Eastern Michigan, leading the nation so far at 174 yards. Second is James Jones, a senior from New Mexico State, with 141 yards. Jackson Arnold, the quarterback, senior from UNLV, is third in rushing at 132 yards. Senior running back Quintrevion Wisner from Florida State is fourth with 124 yards. And junior running back Kanye Udo from Liberty is fifth with 121 yards. Looking at rushing touchdowns, Joey Matord from Eastern Michigan is tied with Jaden Maeva, the quarterback from USC, and Jeremy Payne, sophomore from TCU. And one more, we've got Jalen Carter, the sophomore from Memphis. All have 2 rushing touchdowns, and then there's a bunch with 1. Receiving leaders. At receptions, we got Keenan Jackson, the junior from NC State, tied with Sean Wilson, the sophomore from Delaware, each with 10 receptions so far. Tretch Kekahuna, the junior from North Carolina, has 9 receptions, as does Jaquan Gibson, the senior from Virginia, and Kian Burnett, senior from UNLV. Receiving yard leaders, we've got Dorian Exum, the junior from TCU, has 153 yards to lead the nation. Zacharias Williams, a sophomore from USC, is second with 135. Whoops. Third is Pofili Ashlock, the senior from Hawaii, with 132 yards. Fourth is Mikahi Danzi. I don't know how to say that first name. Sophomore from Florida State. He is fourth with 116 yards. And then fifth is Trech Kekahuna, the junior from North Carolina, has 112 receiving yards. Receiving touchdowns, we got Mark Bowman, the freshman from USC, with 3, leading the country. Trech Kekahuna from North Carolina is second with 2, and then we got a bunch of guys with 1. We can't even see the leader in pancakes. Looking at defensive leaders in tackles, we got the leader, Tony Williams Jr., the freshman, redshirt freshman from Kennesaw State, leading the way, tied with Mark Woods, the sophomore from Jacksonville State. They both have 14. And Max Carroll, the junior from TCU, has 13, as does Tony Newsome Jr., the senior from Western Kentucky. A couple other guys, Corey Costner from Virginia and Trey Fulton, each have 13. Sacks, we had, of course, Jame, I don't know how you say his name, Otis, the senior from Hawaii, had a monster game with 4 sacks. He is followed by Mandrell Desir, sophomore from Florida State. He's got 2.5. And then the senior from Memphis, Michael Montgomery, has 2, as does Corey Costner from Virginia, Zariah Fisher from USC, Mark Iheanachor, freshman from UNLV, and Brenton Williams Jr. from Liberty. Interceptions, we had 1 monster game from Jamel Johnson, the senior from TCU. He had 3 picks in that Week 0 game. And then we've got a bunch of guys with 1 following him. We'll look at the longest field goal made. That right now is Emmett Kenny, the senior from Stanford. He made a 56-yarder. The longest punt so far is, we had some insane punts in Week 0. A 79-yarder from Trent Carrizosa, senior from San Jose State. Kick returns, the longest kick return so far is a 31-yarder from Major Everhart, senior from TCU. And then the longest punt return we've had so far is a 29-yarder from Jackson Williams, junior from North Dakota State. So that is all the stats we're going to look at so far. Maybe we'll take a quick look at team stats. See who's leading every category here. So points, it's the USC Trojans, of course, with 55. Total offense, it is USC again with 581. You can see I guess we'll go through the top 5. USC's leading the way with 55 points. Memphis had 38, Virginia 37, Florida International 34, and TCU 28. Total offense, USC had 581, Florida International had 490, North Carolina at 449, Memphis at 431, and UNLV at 390. Passing yards, we'll go passing yards per game. That would be more useful down the road. USC at 432, TCU with 289, Memphis with 288, North Carolina with 281, and Hawaii with 273. Passing touchdowns, USC leads the way with 3, Memphis has 2, North Carolina, North Dakota State, UNLV also have 2. Rushing yardage leaders, Liberty leads the way with 258, Florida International has 224, UNLV has 180, Eastern Michigan has 171, and North Carolina has 168. Let's take a quick look at defense. I don't know if this will be skewed. Yeah, it'll be a bunch of zeros. We won't look at defense just yet until other teams have played, and these we will not take a look at either. See Ohio State spending the most money there. So I think that is everything we're going to look at before we advance the week. Let's go ahead and do that. Force advance. We'll see who the players of the week were. The rankings won't have changed. I'm assuming the Heisman favorites won't have changed, but we will look at some of the top games of week 1. Advance past that and advance past that. And let's take a look at the top stories here. Another name charging up. It looks like all 4 are the same as last week, I think. Jeremiah Smith, Dante Moore, Malachi Toney, and Julian Sayin. Game week. Coach Pete Golding and the Rebels will be ready for their top 25 matchup against Louisville. Number 24, Louisville, takes on number 9, Ole Miss. That will be a contender for game of the week, no doubt. And then we've got Player of the Week. Leroy Bryant took it to the house for a pick six to earn Player of the Week. Not sure if that was conference or national. We'll find out in just a bit. Let's go here. We'll take a look at the scores, or the games at least, scheduled for week one nationally. Let's take a look at the top 25 to look at the focus on the most important games. We've got FCS West at number 19, Utah, number 6, Miami at Stanford. That could be mildly interesting. Northern Illinois at number 18, Iowa. Ball State at number 1, Ohio State. UTEP at number 10, Oklahoma. Texas State at number 7, Texas. A little in-state matchup there. I'm sure Texas will win fairly comfortably. Missouri State at number 8, Texas A&M. Florida Atlantic at number 25, Florida. Another little in-state matchup where one team will win easily. FCS Southeast at number 4, Georgia. I'm sure that'll be a close game. North Texas at number 5, Indiana. Fresno State at number 15, USC. The Trojans looking to follow up their dominant showing in week 0 with another win. Oregon State at number 21, Houston. Boise State at number 2, Oregon. That could be interesting, though it is at Oregon. Boise State could definitely scare them at least. FCS Southeast at number 20, Tennessee. Clemson at number 11, LSU. That could be game of the week, although Clemson is not ranked. Still marquee matchup there. Western Michigan at number 14, Michigan. Another in-state battle where one team will probably cruise to victory. Marshall at number 17, Penn State. FCS Midwest at number 16, Texas Tech. East Carolina at number 13, Alabama. Washington State at number 23, Washington in the Apple Cup. That could be an interesting game. Though Washington probably will be favored by a few points there. FCS West at number 12, BYU. Wisconsin at number 3, Notre Dame. Now that game, it says in South Bend. It's supposed to be at Lambeau Field, but it looks like they don't have the Packers Stadium in this game, unfortunately. But that could be an interesting game. Number 24, Louisville at number 9, Ole Miss, the only matchup featuring 2 ranked teams. So it'll be a battle between Louisville, Ole Miss, and Clemson and LSU for National Game of the Week. I'm not sure which one I'll pick for that yet. And we've got number 22, SMU at Florida State. That could be an interesting game. Florida State kind of walked their way to a victory last week over New Mexico State. We'll see if they can do a little bit better against a ranked team in Tallahassee. So some interesting games there. We won't go through every single game, but we'll at least look at the top 25 there. This will not have changed since not every team has played. We'll just skip that. Conference standings. Really, Conference USA is the only conference that's had multiple games in conference so far. Let's look at the players of the week. Well, before we go in here, let's take a look at the little headline. It says, Jaden Maivea fired 3 touchdown passes to take player of the week. Let's see if that means national or just conference. It looks like it was national. So the national defensive player of the week was Stanford cornerback Leroy Bryant, 4 tackles, 1 pick six, 3 pass breakups. And the national offensive player of the week was USC quarterback Jaden Maivea. He was 28 of 36 for 397 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 7 carries, 39 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, so we did have a fumble. Great day for Maivea. And let's take a look at ACC Players of the Week. Of course, Leroy Bryant from Stanford won the Defensive Player of the Week in the ACC, and the Offensive Player of the Week in the ACC was North Carolina wide receiver Trech Kekahuna. 9 catches, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. In the American Conference, Memphis swept the awards. Anthony Richard Jr., the cornerback, he got Defensive Player of the Week in the American Conference with 10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 fumble forced, and 1 fumble recovered. And the American Conference Offensive Player of the Week was Memphis wide receiver Alante Brown, former Cornhusker. He had 4 catches for 110 yards, 1 touchdown. In the Big 12, TCU swept the awards. The Defensive Player of the Week, a good choice. He probably should have got National Defensive Player of the Week. Jamel Johnson, the strong safety, had 7 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 3 interceptions, 1 pass breakup. And the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week was wide receiver Dorian Exum from TCU. He had 8 catches for 153 yards and 1 touchdown. Big 10 Players of the Week, USC swept the awards. They were the only Big 10 team to play, of course. The Defensive Player of the Week in the Big 10 was cornerback Brandon Lockhart. He had 2 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 interception, 1 pass breakup. And the Big 10 Offensive Player of the Week was USC quarterback Jaden Maivea. He had 397 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, as we mentioned earlier. Conference USA Players of the Week, the Defensive Player of the Week in Conference USA was linebacker Josiah Taylor from Florida International. He had 6 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. And the Conference USA Offensive Player of the Week was Liberty quarterback Jalen Henderson. He had 85 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 96 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. No independents played. The MAC Players of the Week, Eastern Michigan swept the awards. They played Sacramento State, but Eastern Michigan got both awards. Defensive Player of the Week in the MAC was Eastern Michigan strong safety Barry Manning, 9 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 pass breakups. And the MAC Offensive Player of the Week was Eastern Michigan halfback, running back Joey Matord. I don't know how you say his last name, Mattard maybe. 20 carries, 174 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. He leads the country right now in rushing. Mountain West Players of the Week. The Defensive Player of the Week in the Mountain West was Hawaii linebacker Jameh Otis, 9 tackles, 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 1 fumble recovered, 1 touchdown. Incredible day for him. And the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week was UNLV quarterback Jackson Arnold. He had 210 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He did throw a pick, but he also had 132 rushing yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. Pac-12 did not have any games, SEC didn't have any games, and neither did the Sun Belt. So that's all the Players of the Week for Week 0. Heisman Watch looks like it did not change. We got the same 4 from last week on there. So nothing to really go over there. And that is really it. We've already looked at the stats after Week 0. So what we'll do here is check and see what game will be coming your way next. We'll just go right in order. I think I've fallen into the trap of thinking I'm going to play every single game, so it'll take forever, but I'm a nerd and I like watching it. So our first game is a Thursday night game. The UMass Minutemen will go on the road to Big Ten Rutgers, the Scarlet Knights in Piscataway, New Jersey. That will be the next game coming your way as Week 1 of the 2026 college football season takes off here in just a bit. So we will see you next time.